Okay, so yesterday we learned about gastropods, the day before we learned about bivalves, which leaves us with
the other group.
Don't put the other group on the test. Cephalopod is a much better example of what to put on the test.
Spell that. Oh.
Like that? Cephalopod. Cephalopods for head, foot. Basically, these are the nautilus, the squid, the octopus, and the cuttlefish. As you know, one of my favorite groups of invertebrates. They are so fascinating.
2%.
They are bilaterally symmetric, and that means again that if you cut them in half, two halves would be the same. They have a head that is pretty obvious, and then they have arms or tentacles that are extending down from that head. Many can squirt ink as a defense, and some of them can be pretty fast in the water, over 20 miles per hour due to jet propulsion. So they basically spit out water really, really fast, and that makes them move really fast.
Jet propulsion.
Jet propulsion.
Have you not seen that kids show? It's about like aliens, and his name is Jet. It shows like jet propulsion.
I think you're making that up. There's no show called Jet Propulsion. That is a kid show.
It is a kids show.
Jet Propulsion.
You know how to spell propulsion. Oh, it's called Ready, Jet, Go. But the kid's name is Jet Propulsion. It's in the theme song. God, I just exited out of my memory.
Well, I appreciate your commitment to finding that for me.
Ah, you are a genius. So like if we were
Yeah, but
fish,
you know he's so
That's
cool.
Aquaman. I probably think I'd be the one that just kind of did his own one.
We good with this?
I've probably swim down every fall. By a catfish.
All right, so here are some of the major cephalopods. The cuttlefish is super cool. As far as camouflaging, what's an animal you can think of when you think of camouflaging?
Chameleon.
Chameleon. That's the one that most people think about. What's another one?
Octopus.
Well, octopus isn't usually the first one that comes to mind, especially when you ask like a normal person who's not taking zoology. But as far as camouflaging, these are the best.
Say
The
bees?
absolute bees.
Like-
Bees as in these animals.
Oh, not bees.
These.
I thought you said bees. I'm like bees and camouflage. What?
Yeah.
But
They
look
do
at
warning
the
coloration, which is
jacket.
entirely different. Cuttlefish are amazing. Cuttlefish are so good at camouflaging, they can literally turn half of their body one color and half their body a different
It's
color.
not that good at cuddles.
The octopus is so amazing at camouflaging. It can change the color of its body, but it can also change the shape of its body.
Because it has no bone structure.
Because it doesn't have any bones. They are so cool. Giant squid is fascinating as well, partly because it's so mysterious and we don't know a whole lot about it.
They fight sponges.
They do. Nautilus looks kind of like it would be a, it looks kind of like it would be a in the gastropod group because it kind of has a shell similar to a gastropod, but it's not. It's in the cephalopod group.
Are you sure about this?
I don't make the rules, and you know what? With classification, scientists still may change their mind like next week.
Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure we were clear on this.
Flying squid. Flying squid,
Wait.
again, they don't really fly, but they glide. So they like jump out of the water and spread their tentacles and their fins and kind of glide along. So it looks like they're flying.
That would be terrifying watching an 8-tentacled thing fly at your face.
Well, this is why there are so many stories, like about kraken, and things like that. Because the ocean is such a mysterious
Aren't the
place.
blue-ringed octopus venomous?
Blue-ringed octopus is super venomous, and they are super dangerous. They are responsible for, I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but a lot. I think they're worse than sharks.
Can you not touch them?
No.
Yeah.
No, the blue-ringed octopus is one of the most deadly animals in the ocean. And they're really, really small too, and really pretty.
And
But
they look good.
anytime you see an animal with really pretty colors, it can mean one of two things. One, it's trying to attract a mate, like the big fancy birds in the rainforest. Or two, it's dangerous, and you want to stay away from it. Mimic octopus, giant Pacific octopus, this is the one most of us are familiar with because you see them in a lot of videos and things. They're probably the most intelligent ones. The Dumbo octopus, he's just kind of cute. And then the coconut octopus, oh, this guy's funny. The coconut octopus gets his name because he doesn't have a shell, but he wants a shell. So he will actually find a coconut and that's been hollowed out, and he will carry the shell around with him. And when he's afraid there's a predator, he will put himself inside the coconut and put the like little lid on it, so he's inside the coconut. And then if he really likes that shell, he carries that shell around with him.
So he's not very big then.
He's not very big.
He looks huge.
But remember, they can squeeze themselves really small too.
Yeah, but he still takes up the same amount of mass.
Yes. But the coconut one, he's cool because he likes to carry a shell around with him. Alright, so cephalopods are the most intelligent of all invertebrates. So think of all the invertebrates we've learned about. These guys are smart. They have a large brain, giant nerve fibers. They don't have what's called a myelin sheath. A myelin sheath is a insulator. So think of like how the electrical cords in your house are insulated with plastic around them. And the actual cord that's doing the work is inside. So they don't have insulation around their nerves. We do. We have myelin sheaths that surround our nerves and insulate them. They don't, but that doesn't seem to bother them too much because they are still capable of doing a lot of different things. They have an advanced visual system. So now we're seeing eyes that not necessarily can detect color, but can definitely detect patterns, chemicals in the area, and things like that. Masters of camouflage.
Well, they'd have to have really good eyesight and they can blend.
Exactly. Exactly. Masters of camouflage because not only can they change their color, they can change their shape, which is a vital component to camouflaging. Not
Oh,
only
there it goes.
do you want to look like a piece of coral because of the color, but if you can change your tentacles to be bumpy and make your skin texture rough instead of smooth, then that is going to help camouflage even better. They also have chromatophores, and these are those pigments that you guys learned about yesterday in the cephalopod research that you were doing. These color pigments can expand and contract, and they have control over them. So they can control how much color is present and how much color can be absent. And so these chromatophores are the reason that they can change their color so effectively. Now with the chameleon, yes, it can change a little bit of color, but really it can only go like, like to dark green to like a lighter green. Liz can do that. Liz can change from like a dark brown to a light yellow. So
Do it.
really, camouflage is really the best in these animals because they can change their color very dramatically. Not only that, because they don't have bones, they can change their shape really dramatically. There's one video, and I may have found it, I don't remember, but it was so fascinating because the cuttlefish, on one side he's trying to attract a female cuttlefish. So he's got all these bright like flashing patterns to try and make the girl like him. but on the other side is another male cuttlefish. And so he split his body down the middle, and on one side of his body is bright white to warn off that male and say, stay away, this is my female. And on the other side of his body is all pretty and flashy to try and get the female. And so it's really kind of cool that he like divided right down the center to do that. Amazing animals. Can you tell I like them? It'd be really cool to have a little octopus.
Become a pet octopus. You never know to find them.
Probably not, because they're good escape artists. There's a story, and I don't know if it's true, but I think it was true, that there was an octopus in an aquarium, and they kept coming in the morning and like finding that some of the fish were missing from a nearby aquarium. And so they weren't sure what was happening, but they set up a camera, and the octopus was unlocking his tank and getting out, going over and eating the fish, and then crawling back into his tank before they came and found him, and like re-shutting it behind him. I'm not 100% sure that is true, but I could definitely see that happening with how smart they are.
You ever watch Finding Dory?
Yes, I love
That
that.
octopus is pretty smart.
Well, he was a septopus, wasn't he?
Yeah, he got his tentacle cut off.
All right, so this is kind of what the chromatophore looks like. The color producing cell. We talked a little bit about it, well, didn't really talk about it, but it was in your assignment that you did yesterday. So you've got your nucleus here, you've got these projections that come off, and then here in the center is really where most of the color pigmentation takes place. Now there are hundreds and thousands of these all over the animal, and they can vary in how big they get and how little they are. So you can see here are some small ones, and here are some that are expanded, and it looks really cool when you actually see it in motion, and we'll watch a video that shows it in motion, because they kind of like almost ripple, and they're happening at such a fast speed that they can change their color really, really quickly. So if you look at this picture, can you see the octopus?
Give me a second to actually look at it.
If you look really close, you can see his eyes right here.
Okay.
And there's his body right there. And his tentacles are kind of underneath him. But this is just showing that not only did he change his color, but he also changed the actual, you can see it a little better now.
Yeah, you can see it a lot better now.
You can see the actual little textures that he's made his skin bumpy in order to match the substrate underneath him. Super cool. This was an amazing find, and some of you might have seen this video before. We're actually going to watch this video in a moment. It was a diver, and this video like rocked the science community. Because before this point, we knew that an octopus can camouflage, but we didn't know exactly how good. And so this diver was tracking this octopus, and it got scared, and so it went and it camouflaged, almost to the point where it was disappearing. And then as the diver got closer, it changed from camouflage into a startled or get away from me kind of response. And so it made its skin very, very white, and that's more of the warning, get away from me kind of response.
That's its eye.
This is its eye here.
Oh.
Yeah.
It looks like a mouth.
And so this is its tentacles, this is kind of its head hanging down here. But how fast it did it, and just such an extreme reaction, was the first time something like this was really caught on film. So you could actually see how fast they could do it and how quickly the process happens. Then he promptly squirted ink at the diver and ran away.
Can octopuses breathe air?
They have, I believe they have like siphons that they can use for gills and filtering food. And the siphons are what they also use for jet propulsion. Okay. I don't know why I didn't put these videos in the PowerPoint like I usually do.
If you want to achieve better results, make a great impression,
So
and
many
save time at
commercials
work,
now.
you should get
Hey, that's the coconut one. Isn't he cool? So he's just rolling around in his little coconut. moving faster when he was rolling. Alright, let's watch the next one. Oh, is that the one I just clicked? Are they the same? Yep, you guys are the same.
You guys are the same. They have different
Boo! Are you booing me?
And there's 2 videos. I expected 2. Got
Well,
my
there will
hopes
be
up-
more videos.
Got my hopes up for nothing.
Okay. So yeah, there is the coconut crab inside of his little coconut in his protection.
like slide.
And this one, I think the link's not working. What is up with my slides today? See, you guys, since you're my first class.
Let's just get to the key points.
Well, we'll finish the notes and then I'll find the video because I want you to see the video of him changing color. And I don't know why it's not in there. But we'll finish the notes first and then I'll find that for you.
It's only this slide first.
So their eyes are amazing. This is a comparison of a human eye versus an octopus eye. You can see how very similar they actually are. So one thing though is look how many more nerves their eye has than us. We've got this one optic nerve here. They've got like this whole massive amount of stuff coming out of that eye. So it's pretty impressive. Their lens is also shaped different. Usually this is true for a lot of the aquatic eyes. Their eyes focus differently than ours. Our lens has muscles attached, so it actually changes shape to focus. With organisms that have a round lens, basically the lens moves back and forth to focus. So our lens like gets wider and shorter, their lens typically moves back and forth. But it's really kind of neat to compare that their eyes are very similar to ours, and they've got so many nerves to help them actually see better than we can see.
Do an octopus to human eye transfer.
It's too big. It wouldn't fit in our heads. Some squids have hooks on their suction cups to help them grab onto things. Only mollusks to have a closed circulatory system, so that's kind of cool too. But they're the only ones to have a closed circulatory system that, remember that closed means the blood always stays in vessels. It doesn't come out of the vessels. I think this is our last slide. Yeah. But I will find that video because I really want you guys to watch it. So wait just a second while I pull that video up. It is super cool. It's not that one. Let me see. Go ahead and work on your cephalopod assignment while I'm trying to find